Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just so excited to be with you tonight. I'm in between a couple meetings tonight, and I just want to come to you really, really quick and tell you a little bit about your story. Not my story, your story. And what I want you to do is that to know that everybody got a story. Let's keep it real. Everybody has a story. But the question I have is, are you willing to tell your story? I wasn't willing to tell my story. My stories just kept on happening and happening and happening, um, thing after thing after thing, to the point I really got tired. I really got tired. I really got tired of telling my story. If you see me going back and forth, it's because I'm on another meeting and they're going to call me to speak. But I really got tired of telling my story. So one day I said, you know what, God, what is it you want me to do? And he told me that he wanted me to write a book. And because I'm just a church girl from Detroit, I really didn't want to write a book because I was always taught that whatever happens in your home, whatever happens to you, don't talk about it. But after the things I've been through in my life, I started talking about it little by little by little. Well, what happened is that I started writing books. One of the second or third books that I wrote is called Fearless Faith, which became an Amazon bestseller. And this book happens, it's talking about life after cancer, how to survive a life tsunami and win. Like I said, it became an Amazon bestseller. And in this book, it talks about my road to cancer. It talks about things that I faced with cancer. It talked about that my faith, after everything I went through, when I lost all the activities of my senses, my faith became my sixth sense. In this book, it talks about the tsunami of marriage. When I talk about the tsunami of marriage, it was talking about things that I went through, in my marriage. Yes, I love my husband loves me, but marriage is work. So I talk about, the trials, some of the trials, the tribulations, and the triumphs, just a snippet of it about marriage. And remember, this is stuff that I was going through with cancer. I also talk about, the changing of the career, how my career changed. A lot of times when you go through things, your career change. It talks about family, it talks about church hurt, it talks about, the ups and downs, facing with my children, well, with my child. It talks about starting all over. It talks about being accepted. It talks about when no friends are left. It also talks about being single. And when I say being single, sometimes when you are in a relationship, you might feel that you are single. I'm talking about your story matters. So you don't have to have a story about death. You don't have to have a story about broke, busted, or disgusted. I don't want you um, to minimize your story because your story is very, very, very important. You just might be a single mother, and that's a story. You might have a successful career, but in your career, you overcome and you face some challenges, but you overcome them. What I want you to talk about is how did you overcome them? What was the challenges and what was the overcome? So while I was writing my book, Fearless Faith, God told me to write another book, which is Courageous Women Find Strength During the Storm, Volume 2, Volume 1. What's happening now is that I am opening up the opportunity to work with Volume 3 authors. So if you are one who wants to write your story, wants to be a part of a story, the fearless women rock, courageous women find strength during the storm, then this is your time to work with me. I'm opening up the opportunity for women to come and work with me. The reason why I say that is because it's more than a story. You're building a brand, you're building a platform. So I just want to give you some points about what happens when you start building a brand, when you start building a platform. Remember, I started out with my book, Fearless Face, which that was not my first book. Then I started inviting other women to come take part of their journey because I know that they had stories to tell because that is what God told me about them. Then, as I'm writing the story, I built a brand, a very powerful brand called Fearless Women Rock. I also built a platform of speaker, coaches, and authors. I built that platform. So I'm going through all these things, and now I'm on volume 3. Something happened. And what happened? Somebody's always watching you, and you never know who that person is. Well, what happened, before I tell you what happened, I'm just going to give you a couple points about your story as you're building a speaking platform, as you're building a book platform. I want you to believe in yourself. People are going to tell you, you're not an author. I can't write. I'm dyslexic. I don't know how to tell my story. But guess what? That's why you got me, because I'm going to walk you through the process on how to do that. So never minimize your story. Believe in yourself. And if you need somebody to believe in you, because sometimes we just need somebody to hold our hand, that would be me. That would be Dr. Missy. Because guess what? I had somebody to hold my hand. I just didn't get here just on my own. I got here because I had accountability partners, I had coaches, and I had mentors, and I had consultants. So believe in yourself. Believe bigger. The second thing that I want to tell you is that I want you to keep moving on what you're doing. You know, somebody said, well, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to stop. Why did you stop? Was there some kind of shame, depression, um, imposter syndrome? Why did you stop? One thing about me and that I learned on this journey, I have had a lot of things happen to me, a lot of challenges that happened to me, and that I kept moving. I'm consistent. On this journey, you have to be consistent. You have to keep moving. Dr. Martin Luther King says, and I treasure this, he said that if you can't run, walk. Walk it out. If you can't walk, then crawl. Get on your knees. But whatever you do, keep moving. So on this journey that you're on that you're building, the platform that you're building, keep moving. The third thing I want to talk to you about your voice. Your voice matters. Your voice can change a whole atmosphere. Have you ever went to church and they say that your voice can change a nation, your voice can change a country, your voice can change a generational curse? Have you ever heard that? You know, you might see me talking sometimes, but what I want you to understand is that I had to learn to own my voice. You may say, Dr. Missy, you so courageous, you so bold, you so fearless. Yes, I am. I am all of that. But I wasn't always all of that. I was that on the outside when you see me, but sometimes I was an extrovert with an introvert inside because I minimized my voice because I didn't really think that somebody would hear my story. I didn't think that anybody would value what I had to say. I had a thing about self-worth. I had a thing about what are people going to say about me, you know, especially church folks, you know. And then Dr. Missy, I dim my light because of the DR in front of my name because I didn't want to intimidate anybody. I'm talking about the voice. Have you ever felt like you were dimming your light because of somebody else? Have you ever felt like your voice doesn't matter? Have you ever felt like your story didn't matter? Guess what? I got so tired of telling that cancer story. Please believe that. Sometimes I did it for y'all because that's what y'all wanted to hear. But I got tired of telling the cancer story. I got tired of telling the story about being in a 60 miles an hour um, ac- accident. I got tired of telling people that I was in a coma for 47 days. I got tired of saying that I have 3% chance of living. And I'm going to tell you something else that you didn't know. This time last year, almost this time last year, I didn't even tell nobody this. But last year, I was in the hospital with COVID. I was in the University of Michigan hospital. My husband took me to the hospital. I was asymptomatic. I didn't even have any symptoms. And I was ashamed of having COVID. The one prayer that I prayed for when I was laying up in the hospital bed, and this was the first time that I ever shared the COVID story. But when I was in the hospital bed, I was like, Lord, please don't put me on the vent, because so many people at that time was going on the vent. And I prayed. They coming in with 100. I'm coming 103, 104 temperature. I was down for 6 months. I'm sorry, 6 weeks with COVID. I didn't want to tell that story because guess what? People started shaming. I'm just keeping it real. People started shaming people with COVID, like almost like it was a plague. Again, toning down my voice. What are you toning down in your life, of your voice, of your story, that you don't want to share? Understand, I respect that if you don't want to share your story, I do. I get it. But there are some stories that I found out that it ain't for you. You were just a vessel. I was just a vessel. But I understand now that I'm created to be an impact. I am an influencer. I had to start walking and owning who I am. But it was my voice that kept me quiet. Vision. Even though I was quiet, you might think I was living out loud, but I was quiet, extrovert with an introvert on the inside. But I always had a vision. Because you know why? I'm the type of girl, I come with the end in mind. When I look at the things that I do, I look at what is it that I want? What is the end result that I want? So I know without a vision that the people will perish. And I'm not going to perish. I'm going to fight. I'm going to ride or die. I'm going to be playing no games because of everything that I went through. I know that the very voice that I'm speaking out of, I know that it is the oxygen. I know, I know for a fact that if I don't come before you, I know for a fact that God, He's blessing me with the oxygen, the inhale, and the exhale. Every breath that I breathe, that I come to you, it's not for me. It's because I obey the Holy Spirit. Because He told me that my voice matters. He told me that I have a vision because I wrote the vision down. And without the vision, the people, y'all gonna perish. What is your vision? What are you perishing on? What are you dying on? What are you dying on the inside? What are you perishing about that you are not telling somebody about? You know the other thing I did before I make this big announcement? Because they're looking for me to call because I'm on this call. Investments. They said some of the finer things in life when free is free. I challenge that. Some of the finer things in life are free. I'm not saying it's impossible, but what I understand is that the level of your um, execution depends on the level of that you invest in. Now that's the word right there. The church need to say amen up on that. The level of your execution depends on the level of your investment. And let me say why. It's because if you put a little in, you're going to get a little out. But if you put a lot in, you're going to get some stuff out of it because you're going to hold your own self accountable for what you do. So if something is $1 I spent $1. I don't at the dollar store, okay? And by the time you leave the dollar store, you just spent $50 because everything is $1. But if I spend $1,000, if I spend $10,000 on my investment, which I have done, then I'm going to hold myself to a higher expectation of what I get out of the program, what I get out of my investment. So, Dr. Missy, you say, well, you say you got a big announcement. I had to come with you with a prelude. I had to pre-qualify my announcement before I told it. This is announcements going on since last year. Last year. Somebody's always watching you. The visibility factor is prevalent. Whether they like your post or don't like your post, somebody's always watching. So before I make this big drum roll announcement, I just want to remind you that your story matters. This book right here, Fearless Faith, Life After Cancer, How to Survive a Life Tsunami and Win, by Dr. Missy Johnson, became a #1 bestseller. Volumes 1 and Volume 2, Courageous Women Find Strength During the Storm. Volume 2 became a #1 bestseller, not because of my stories, but because of all these stories in here. Volume 1 became a #1 bestseller because of these women here. You have to understand that you cannot build this alone. It takes a village to build something so big that you can't even hold on the inside. So because I started writing those stories, because I started becoming a coach and coaching women how to write, how to build platforms, how to launch their books, how to become a coach in their business, how to build their brands, something happened along the way. One, it was my story. What's your story? Believe bigger. I believed bigger. Are you believing bigger? I kept moving. Despite the 60 miles an hour head on collision, despite being in a coma for 47 days, despite having over 25 surgeries in the past 3 years, despite minimizing my voice because I was an extrovert having an introvert experience, despite my vision, even though I knew what I wanted on the end, on the end result, but because of my voice, I was silencing myself, which I'm no longer doing that. And because I made the investment in myself year after year after year, I made it in coaching, I made it in book writing. Shoot, I made it with the student loan people, which I still owe them money. So I constantly invest in myself. The level of your execution depends on the level of your investment. Do you get that? I see you all here. Dr. Stubbs. Let's see who else is here. Marcus Wright, Cynthia Boone, and to all the people who are on the replay. Well, what I want to tell you as I am about to leave, because I've been on calls with the networks all day. And when I say networks, I'm talking about networks. Drum roll, please. Well, now I want to reintroduce you to who I am. I am Dr. Missy Johnson. I am officially, with receipts, a screenwriter, a coach, a speaker, and an author. And I help women share their story on a bigger platform so they can get seen, be paid, and get heard. Did you get that? I'm official. And I got receipts for everything I just said. Last year, I was propositioned, or an invitation was sent to me. And the invitation was about a health initiative about breast cancer. Not knowing I was already writing my movie about breast cancer. And they told me, look at this. I looked at the opportunity. I really didn't want to submit it because my sister it was really, really hard for me because my sister passed from cancer. 15 years ago, my aunt and my cousin and their daughter within 18 months, 3 people died of cancer. I have had 10 people to die in my family of cancer, with my sister being the latest one. So writing about cancer was very hard for me, but I did it anyway. But what happened with that? Somebody seen my work. I collaborated with a beautiful young lady by the name of Lori Conway. I collaborated with a beautiful young lady with Megamind Media, and they collaborated with me, and they helped me. They helped me. They told me about the opportunity, is what I should say. And from the opportunity, I am now an official screenwriter. Wrote a movie to BET. BET bought the screenplay, and it will be on television in October. Woo, 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 woo. Yes, I am an official screenwriter, coach, speaker, and author. All because I started telling my stories. I help these young ladies tell their story. Somebody is always watching. What I want to encourage you on this evening is the title tonight was Your Story Matters. Make sure you tell it. Make sure it's authentic. Make sure it's true. And always know that you have a voice, you have a vision. Make the investment. Visualize what you want. Keep believing in yourself, no matter what. Because I've been writing movies for a long time. Some of my friends, they know about it. And I kept telling them, I'm going to be in the movies. I'm going to be in the movies. And when it happened, it's going so fast. I will be going out of state in a couple weeks to start filming on the production. I met with my director today. Can you believe my director? Can you believe I have a cast? And all this going to be coming out soon, but people who I wrote the movie for, they're going to be saying the words that I wrote. Can you understand that this is a surreal moment for me? I give all of the praise and all the glory to God for keeping me. Never be ashamed of your story. Tell your story. You want to work with me? Please DM me. Do I have it all together? No, I have it all together. But if you want to work with me, get on Fearless Women Rock, Courageous Women Find Strength During the Storm, Volume 3, or whatever you may have. Please send me a direct message, or you can send me an email at Fearless Women Rock Global, Fearless Women Rock Global, LLC, at gmail.com. I will be happy to speak with you, to give you a strategic plan. You will get 15 minutes for free. But anything over that, it's a paycheck, Zelle, Bitcoin. I take Bitcoins, stock. Yes, I take stock. I take American Express, Vimeo. I take it all. Discover. I take it all. Because the price that I paid to get to where I am was not free. It cost me something. Whatever you're going through that you overcome, it costs you something. So please understand, your story matters. And I am a screenwriter. BET, baby, okay? Black entertainment, okay? Television. Dr. Missy. I got receipts. You don't believe me? Go check out my IMBD. Go check me out. I got receipts. And I'll be introducing to you my director and my cat. Look, listen to this. I'm saying to y'all like this ain't really. I mean, it's really, really real, but it's really surreal for me. But I'll be introducing to you my cast, my director, my other co-writer, Lori, who was my boo. We wrote together. And remember, there's so much more because in 2022, Dr. Missy will be doing her own feature film in Detroit. Okay? Filmmaker, producer. I'm not playing no games. Courageous Women Find Strength During the Storm. Fearless Women Rock. Your story matters. Hit me up. Volume 3, Volume 3, Volume 3. Hit me up. I love you. Thank you for this time. And let me get over here. And because they're calling me now. Thank you. Bye-bye.